Hello Neurodivergent Nation, earworms, stuck song syndrome, and ADHD and autism. So my wife showed me this video 3 days ago and I thought it was funny, but I've had it lodged into my head hole ever since, and that's where the earworms live.
You were working as a waitress in a cocktail bar, in a cocktail bar. While you working as a waitress in a cocktail bar, a cocktail bar.
So I've been seeing videos pop up from people lately that are talking like, I was today years old when I found out that earworms mean you have ADHD and diarrhea. Just kidding about the diarrhea part. I didn't hear anyone say that. But I have heard the part about earworms, meaning if you have earworms, you also have ADHD. At least that's what a lot of these memes and a lot of these videos going around say. I don't know. That has not been my experience as a person who diagnoses and treats ADHD individuals. Is it an ADHD thing? Not really. But it does have something to do with ADHD and autism. First off, it turns out that like 90 to 98% of people get earworms. And we know that not that many people have ADHD. So that kind of blows the idea that it's exclusively an ADHD thing out of the water. In fact, there is research that suggests that those who have problems with working memory actually do not experience earworms very much or at all. Now, working memory is your ability to hold something in your immediate awareness for a time while you do something with it. And guess who has working memory problems? Many ADHDers. So it is in the DSM manual too, right here, but there is nothing in the DSM manual about earworms. It's not related to ADHD at all, according to the DSM manual, which is what is used to diagnose people with ADHD, even though the DSM manual seems to be woefully behind in times and out of touch with those who are actually neurodivergent. But that's a whole other topic for another video another time. So, if more than 90% of people running around out there have earworms, why are there so many people making posts on social media saying that this is an ADHD thing? Well, earworms are thought to be due to what's called a phonological loop in the brain, which is a short-term memory thing in the auditory cortex of the brain, which lives in the temporal lobe, according to researcher Dr. Richard Wagner. Well, thank you, Dr. Dick Wagner. Thank you for your research. You really are a gentleman and a scholar. I just wanted to say that part. I've always wanted to say that phrase. Anyway, this is where there is a connection between parts of the brain that are responsible for hearing, memory, some working memory, that part sucks for most ADHD people like me, and the emotional part of the brain. Those are all thought to be the parts of the brain that this phonological loop runs through. Interestingly, when you are experiencing more stress and anxiety, you are more prone to earworms. And who experiences an inordinate amount of stress and anxiety? People with ADHD. Also, if you're more of a music aficionado, you're more likely to have earworms and for a longer duration, according to researcher Beaman and Williams. But why do some seem to not really be bothered by them while others, like me, get really annoyed or distressed by them? So here's a question to you. Do you have them more than once a day, like I do? Do they last longer for you than most do, like mine can? How in the hell do we get rid of them? And do we need to get rid of them at all? Researchers at the Boston School of Medicine and UNC Chapel Hill discovered that about 20% of those people who have earworms get them more than once a day. They also found that it usually only lasts about 10 to 30 minutes with most people. Don't I wish? If you're like me, you're part of that special 8.5% that gets to have those earworms for more than 3 hours at a time. For most people, though, they only experience the mild to moderate distress and interference in their lives from it. Mild to moderate interference. What does that mean? For most people, that means having that one part of a song stuck in your head that's mildly annoying, and it doesn't really affect them. They just get over it, and they move on with their lives. 86% of people use distraction and talking to friends to try to get that pesky tune out of their heads. However, for about 1/3 of the earwormers out there, it can cause moderate to severe distress. And I'm one of those people that become more distressed by them sometimes, which means I become more anxious, annoying, and it's like having a throbbing toothache of music.
I sing, birds, sing.
It's just there, and I'm trying to ignore it, but it's just there until it's not. This can cause dysfunction and disorder with a person and can contribute to disorder in their lives. So, if you've seen my other videos, you know that I'm never satisfied with just simply explaining what something is. I need to know all the things about it to understand it more on a conceptual level. Well, my neurodivergent friends, this is no exception. It's called sticky music, musical imagery repetition, intrusive musical imagery, or involuntary music imagery, but most people simply know them as earworms. The term earworm is from the word German or Ohrwurm. I don't even know if I said that right. Did I say that right? Ohrwurm. You want to look that up for me?
Ohrwurm.
It's commonly known as an earwig. I know, that's gross. But in the musical realm, it's more appropriate to call it a musical itch. It's thought to have first come from a 1978 novel called Fly Away by Desmond Bagley, and was first used in 1979 by Dr. Cornelius Eckert, a psychiatrist, although there is some debate about whether or not Dr. Cornelius actually coined the term. But seriously, who freaking cares who coined the term? All I know is I've had this dumbass song in my head for 3 days now, and I hate it. Many people experience earworms as short segments of music that are often around 20 seconds long. And Beatty Williams and his super best friends at the University of St. Andrews School of Philosophy suggest that there are 5 key ingredients that makes a song more likely to be an earworm. Predictability, rhythmic repetition, melodic potency, surprise, and the listener's feelings about the tune. So if that music has a repetitive feature to it, or it has certain notes that are held out longer or shorter, whatever your brain picks up on, or if that part of the song sounds just a certain way to you, or it evokes a certain emotion, it's more likely that they will become earworms. For me, however, it's the same few songs that have been in my head for many, many years. And the thing is, I never even liked those songs. That's a real bummer, you know that? This girl is on fire! So let's get to the brain science of it, the neurology, if you will. It's thought that our brains are prehistorically set up to remember things using music, rhyming, and rhythm.
I've got to get this job.
So what about autism? Researchers Bacon, Beaman, and Liu stated that autistic individuals possess preserved or superior music processing skills compared to their neurotypical counterparts. But the interesting thing was that this study suggested that autistic people had a stronger memory for music than neurotypicals. Well, there is a study that suggests that people with OCD may experience earworms more often, but that doesn't mean if you have them, you have OCD. Also, there are some similar traits between OCD and autism in many individuals, even though it's not OCD. Additionally, a study suggests that people who have less psychological flexibility may become more distressed with earworms, and the more they try to suppress or stop them, the more intrusive and persistent the thoughts become. Now, if you've been studying neurodivergence like I have, you already know that one of the traits for many autistic individuals is psychological inflexibility. This is one of the reasons earworms might be more of a distressing thing for you than with other people. So this really starts to fall into that category where people who don't know about neurodivergence yet might say, oh, I experience such and such too. Does that mean I'm autistic? No. Sure, you might experience earworms or sensory sensitivities or social discomfort or whatever else autistic and ADHD people experience, but does it mess your life up? Then they come back with,
But did you die?
Also, consider that the repetitive nature of the song. Why is this thing... Oh my gosh, what happened? This thing's burning me again. Different day. Let's move that. Also, consider those songs that have that repetitive nature to them. If a part of a song, or even a thought, or a saying is negative, or is self-deprecating, or violent, think about it. That negativity is on your brain, and it's on loop over and over and over again. That can have a serious effect on you and your perspectives. It can affect your mood and your mental health and your outlook. Conversely, it can also have a desirable effect if what you're repeating is positive or good or about hope and so on and so forth. So these earworms are not always bad, I suppose. Apparently, mine are not all that positive, I guess, but maybe I need to get new positive material in my brain. I don't know. Anyway, so let's get to the part of how to get rid of them. Some suggestions involve creating activities in the part of your brain that involves working memory and emotion. So, do something emotional. You can also listen to new music you really enjoy. which also serves as a distraction and can fulfill part of that emotional thing I was talking about. Also, researchers at Western Washington University suggest that solving anagrams or Sudoku puzzles can really get rid of earworms pretty quickly. Did I say that right? Sudoku?
Sudoku.
I've also heard that chewing gum will do it. Lastly, there is a phenomenon called ironic process theory, which means the more you try to push it out of your head, the worse it gets stuck in there. My gift to you at the end of this video is a whole bunch of songs that give me earworms. There you go. All right, I was informed that we can't put songs at the end of the video because of copyright laws, but if we could, so go ahead and listen to some songs just for the spirit of earworming. I hope this helps you in your neurodiverse universe.